here we are. I turned down here at the next block.
Thanks, mister. I'll get off there.
Want anything else?
No.
Hey, you.
Me?
Yeah, you. Which way you heading?
East.
Too bad. I thought if you was heading north, I might be able to help you out. I'm pushing the Salt Lake, and I don't like to ride it alone at night. I'm one of those guys that got to talk or I fall asleep. Oh, sure, no, my partner, he's got Lou to keep him company, but I ain't got nobody at all. Where you coming from?
West.
Yeah, sure, I know, but where, L.A.?
Maybe.
Got a cousin out in L.A.
You don't say.
Yeah, he's been out. You're not much of a talker, are you?
My mother taught me never to speak to strangers.
Oh, a wise guy.
So what?
Okay, don't get sore. Just trying to be sociable, that's all. Hey, Glamorous. You change for a dime, will you?
Let's have something quieter this time, Joe. My head's splitting.
Is that what's wrong with it?
Done with your coffee?
No. And don't rush me, will you? Hey, turn that off. Will you turn that thing off?
What's eating you now?
Yeah, what's eating you? That music, it stinks. Oh, you don't like it, huh? No, turn it off.
Oh, wait a minute, pal. That was my nickel, see? This is a free country. And I play whatever I wanted.
Okay.
Sure, and if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it. And you can leave here anytime you want to.
Okay, I'm sorry I asked.
First good piece played tonight and you don't like it. Some people just ain't got any good taste.
That tune. Why was there always that rotten tune? Following me around, beating in my head, never letting up. Did you ever want to forget anything? Did you ever want to cut away a piece of your memory or blot it out? You can't, you know. No matter how hard you try. You can change the scenery. But sooner or later, you'll get a whiff of perfume or somebody will say a certain phrase or maybe hum something. Then you're licked again. I can't believe that you're in love with me. I used to love that song once. So did the customers back in the old Break of Dawn Club in New York. I can't remember a night when I didn't get at least 3 requests for it. Sue, she was always selling it too. Those were the days.
I can't believe that you're in love with me. You're telling everyone you know that I'm on your mind each place you go. They can't believe that you're in love with me. I have always placed you far above me. I just can't imagine that you love me. And after all is said and done, to think that I'm the lucky one, I can't believe that you're in love with me.
It wasn't much of a club, really. You know the kind. A joint where you could have a sandwich and a few drinks and run interference for your girl on the dance floor. I pounded the piano in there every night from 8 until the place closed up, which usually meant 4 in the morning. A good job as jobs went in those days. Then, too, there was Sue, who made working there a little like working in heaven. But how we felt about each other, well, there was nothing very unusual in that. I was an ordinary healthy guy, and she was an ordinary healthy girl, and when you add those two together, you get an ordinary healthy romance, which is the old story. Sure, but somehow, the most wonderful thing in the world. All in all, I was a pretty lucky guy.
Mr. Paderewski, I presume. It's beautiful. You're going to make Carnegie Hall yet, Al?
Yeah, as a janitor. I'll make my debut in the basement.
I don't blame you for being bitter, darling, but you mustn't give up hope. Why, someday...
Yeah, someday. If I don't get arthritis first. In the meantime, let's blow this trap. Like to get something to eat, hon?
Oh, I don't think so, Al. I lose my appetite working in this flea bag. Let's go home.
Okay.
I can't stand much more of that dump. Did you see that drunk tonight trying to paw me?
No, what drunk?
Does it matter what drunk?
Say, what's the matter with you tonight, darling? That's the third time you started to tell me something and then stopped. We shouldn't have any secrets from each other, Sue. Next week, we're going to make with the ring and the license. You and me will be a team.
Yes, that's right. In the Bush League.
I don't get you.
We've been struck out.
It's a funny way to talk, darling. Don't you want to marry me?
Al, look, I love you. You know I do, and I want to marry you.
But?
But not now. Only after we've made good. Sunday, I'm going away. Oh, I know you'll think it's silly. That's why I hesitated to tell you. But I'm going to California. I want to try my luck in Hollywood.
That's the most stupid thing I ever heard of. Don't you know millions of people go out there every year and wind up polishing cuspidors? I thought you had better sense.
You sound as if you don't think I have any talent.
That has nothing to do with it.
I'll make out all right.
Maybe. But what about me? Doesn't it mean anything to you that you're busting up all our plans? We may not see each other for years?
It won't be that long.
I thought you loved me.
I do. You know I do. Well, here we are. Al, why can't you see my side of it? I'm young. We both are, and we've got all the time in the world to settle down. Oh, really, darling, what I'm doing is the only sane thing to do. I hate the thought of being so far away from you, but we'll be together again someday. Maybe you'll decide to come out too later on.
So long.
Al, aren't you going to kiss me goodnight?
Sure, why not? Good night.
Roberts. You hit the jackpot this time. $10.
Thanks. So when this drunk handed me a 10 spot after a request, I couldn't get very excited. What was it, I asked myself? A piece of paper crawling with germs. It couldn't buy anything I wanted. It couldn't... Then I thought of something. Long distance. I'd like to put a call through to Los Angeles. Miss Harvey. Sue Harvey, Harvey. The number is Crestview 65723. Hello, Sue? This is Al. Oh, baby, it's great to hear from you, too. What's that? You do? Oh, me too, darling. I thought I'd go batty without you. I just had to... Huh? You're working as a hashlinger? Gee, honey, that's tough. Those guys out in Hollywood don't know the real thing when it's right in front of them. You just stick it out, Sue, baby. Keep going around to those casting offices. I'm sure you'll click. Look, I'll tell you what. You stay put out there, I'll come to you. No, don't try to stop me. Just expect me. Train? Who knows? Train, plane, bus, magic carpet. I'll be there if I have to crawl. If I have to travel by pogo stick. And then, let's get married right away, huh? That's the stuff. That's what I've been wanting to hear you say. Well, goodbye for now. I'll be seeing you soon. Yeah. Bye. The only way I could cross country was to thumb rides. For even after hawking everything, I only had enough money to eat. Money. You know what that is. It's the stuff you never have enough of. Little green things with George Washington's picture that men slave for, commit crimes for, die for. It's the stuff that has caused more trouble in the world than anything else we ever invented. Simply because there's too little of it. At least I had too little of it. So it was me for the thumb. Ever done any hitchhiking? It's not much fun, believe me. Oh, yeah, I know all about how it's an education, how you get to meet a lot of people and all that. But me, from now on, I'll take my education in college, or in PS 62, or I'll send $1.98 in stamps for 10 easy lessons. Thumbing rides may save you bus fare, but it's dangerous. You never know what's in store for you when you hear the squeal of brakes. If only I had known what I was getting into that day in Arizona.
Here, throw that in the back seat. Okay, let's go. Make sure that door's closed.
You know, Emily Post ought to write a book of rules for guys thumbing rides. Because as it is now, you never know what's right and what's wrong. We rode along for a little while, neither one of us saying anything. I was glad of that. I never know what to say to strange people driving cars. Then, too, you can never tell if a guy wants to talk. A lot of rides have been cut short because of a big mouth. So I kept my mouth shut until he started opening up.
Hand me that little box, the compartment, will you, pal? Hold the wheel, will you? How far are you going?
L.A.
Well, you're really traveling, aren't you?
Yeah, but I don't expect to make it for a couple of years at the rate I've been promoting rides.
Not much luck, huh?
Sure, all bad. Not many people stop for a guy these days. Afraid of a stick-up, maybe.
Well, you can't blame them. Where you coming from?
New York?
Well, New York. You're in luck this time. I'm going all the way. Right through to Los Angeles. You drive a car?
Sure. Whenever you're tired, let me know.
I'll holler.
I guess at least an hour passed before I noticed those deep scratches in his right hand. They were wicked. 3 puffy red lines about 1/4 inch apart. He must have seen me looking at them because he said,
Beauties, aren't they? They're gonna be scars someday. What an animal.
whatever it was, it must have been pretty big and vicious to have done that.
Right on both counts, New York. I was tussling with the most dangerous animal in the world. A woman.
She must have been Tarzan's mate. Looks like you lost the bob.
Certainly wasn't a draw. You know, there ought to be a law against dames with claws.
Yeah.
I tossed her out of the car in her ear. Was I wrong? Give a lift to a tomato, you expect her to be nice, don't you?
Yeah.
After all, what kind of dames some rides? Sunday school teachers?
Yeah.
A little witch. She must have thought she was riding with some fall guy. And me, who's been booking horses around racetracks since I was 20. I've known a million dames like her. 2 million.
Yeah.
Stopped the car, opened the door. Take it on the yard, the Duffy sister, I told her.
That's the stuff.
As that was done, huh? But if you want to see a real scar, brother, get a load of this.
Wow.
I got that one dueling.
Dueling?
Yeah, we're just kidding, of course. My dad owned a couple of Franco-Prussian sabers. Kept them on the wall for decorations. Well, one day, the kid and I took them down when the old man wasn't around. Had a duel. He got me in the arm here. Pretty mean cut. Infection set in later.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now, give me that box again, will you?
Yeah.
Pain made me lose my head, I guess. I began slashing. Before I knew it, I'd put the other kid's eye out.
That was tough.
Well, it was just an accident, of course. Do you know how kids are? I got scared, decided I was going to run away from home. Old man almost caught me when I was packing my duds. The bloody rag I had wrapped around my wrist hadn't caught his attention. You'd seen the bundle for sure. But I beat it when he was phoning for a doctor. That was 15, 16 years ago. I haven't been home since. Pull in there for a bite or something, huh?
A bite or something. Brother, was I hungry. I hadn't had anything in my stomach for hours. Yet even with that gnawing in the pit of my belly, I didn't want to be in too big a rush to put on the feed bag. First, I had to make sure this guy knew the score. If I got him down on me, goodbye ticket to Hollywood. I'll wait out here for you, mister.
Well, there's the money. Don't worry about paying for it. This time it's on me.
Well, that's what...
Pascal, think nothing of it. You make your first million, maybe you can do the same for me. Come on, New York. I gotta make the West Coast by Wednesday. There's a horse running in Santa Anita named Pirate Bicycle. Means dough to me if I'm on him.
We'll make it all right. He did most of the talking during the half hour we were in the place. I ate. He rambled on about his old man, whom we hadn't heard from since he ran away as a kid. Now he happened to become a bookie. And then all about how he got rooked in Miami.
One race, 38 grand. They cleaned out my book. How do you like that?
That was tough luck.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to be the smart guy. Well, you just wait. I'm going back to Florida next season with all kinds of jack. And you watch those stinkers run for cover. Want anything else?
No, thanks. I've had plenty.
That check there, sister?
Oh, just a minute. Your change, sir.
Keep it, sister.
Oh, thank you, sir. Call again.
I'll be waiting outside for you when you finish work. Sharp check, huh?
that night while Haskell slept like a log. After a while, I began to get sleepy myself. I was happy, though. Soon I'd be with Sue again. The long trip was practically over, and there'd be no more hoofing it down the concrete. I began to think of the future, which couldn't have been brighter if I'd embroidered it with neon lights. It was nice to think of Sue shooting to the top. It's amazing what a full belly can do to your imagination.
Your eyes of blue, your kisses too, I never knew what they could do. I can't believe that you're in love with me. You're telling everyone you know I'm on your mind each place you go. I can't believe that you're in love with me.
Mr. Haskell? Mr. Haskell? Mr. Haskell, wake up. It's raining. Don't you think we ought to stop and put up the top? Mr. Haskell, I'm going to put up the top. Until then, I'd done things my way. But from then on, something else stepped in and shunted me off to a different destination than the one I had picked for myself. But when I pulled open that door... Mr. Haskell, what's the matter? Are you hurt? Are you hurt, Mr. Haskell? Start your sermon. I'll listen to it. But I know what you're going to hand me even before you open your mouths. You're going to tell me you don't believe my story of how Haskell died and give me that don't make me laugh expression on your smug faces. I saw at once he was dead, and I was in for it. Who would believe he fell out of the car? Why, if Haskell came too, which of course he couldn't, even he would swear I conked him over the head for his dough. Yes, I was in for it. Instinct told me to run, but then I realized it was hopeless. There were lots of people back down the road who could identify me. That gas station guy and the waitress. I would be in a worse spot then, trying to explain why I beat it. The next possibility was to sit tight and tell the truth when the cops came. But that would be crazy. They'd laugh at the truth. And I'd have my head in a noose. So what else was there to do but hide the body and get away in the car? I couldn't leave the car there with him in the gully. That would be like erecting a tombstone. My idea was to cover him with brush, not to rob him. But then I remembered that even if I only drove the car for 100 miles or so, I would need money for gas. Besides, it was stupid of me to leave all that money on a dead man. Not only that, I'd have to take his driver's license in case I was stopped for something. I didn't like to think about it, but by that time I'd done just what the police would say I did, even if I didn't. My clothes. The owner of such an expensive car would never be wearing them. Some cop might pull me in on suspicion.
Hey, you, this your car? Don't you know better than to leave a car with the wheels halfway in the middle of the road? That's the way accidents happen.
I'm sorry, officer. I was just putting up my top. I didn't think.
Well, the next time, think. I'll let you go now, but watch your step in the future. I know that's a lonely stretch, but cars come by here once in a while, and we have plenty of crack-ups.
Thanks. as Robertson. If they found a dead man in the gully now, it would be me. As I drove off, it was still raining, and the drops streaked down the windshield like tears. I kept imagining I was being followed and that I could hear sirens back in the distance. Just how long it took me to cover the 60-odd miles to the California state line, I don't know. I lost all track of time, but the rain had stopped and the sun was up when I pulled up to the inspection station.
Hello? Carrying any fruits or vegetables?
No.
Any livestock or poultry?
No.
I'd see your registration and driver's license, please. Anything in the baggage compartment?
Just baggage.
Charles Haskell, Jr., age 30, brown eyes, dark hair. Identifying marks, none. Are you Charles Haskell, Jr.?
Yes.
Well, remember, if you're employed and you stay over 30 days, you take out California plates.
All right, officer, but I'll only be in the state a short while.
Right, you can go now.
I couldn't drive any farther without some sleep. Cops or no cops, I knew I had to hit the hay and hit it hard. I was dead tired. Mr. Haskell. No. Mr. Haskell, you can't die. I think I did it. No, Mr. Haskell. No. Who's there?
It's the maid. Can I come in and clean?
Later. In a half hour.
All right, sir.
There was no time to lose. Every minute I had to be Charles Haskell was dangerous. And I'd have to be Charles Haskell until I got to some city where I could leave the car and be swallowed up. That meant driving the car as far as San Bernardino, maybe even to Los Angeles. In a little town, I might be noticed, but in a city, I should be safe enough. Then, after I ditched the car, I could go on to Sue. But those 5 minutes at the state line made me realize it might be a good idea to find out a little bit about Mr. Haskell. Then if anybody asked me questions, I could give the right answers. The first thing I found out was that I had $768. This was a lot of jack, but believe me, it was the kind of money I'd rather not have. And then I found out from a letter Haskell was carting around in his bag that he wasn't the open-handed, easygoing big shot who went around buying dinners for strange hitchhikers. Before I got done reading it, I saw him more as a chiseler. It was written to his old man in California, the one he hadn't seen in so many years. In it, Haskell posed as a salesman of hymnals, of all things. It was easy to see where Haskell expected to raise a new stake for his book in Miami by rooking his old man. That was about all I found out from his effects, and it was enough. I told myself, maybe old man Haskell was lucky his son kicked off. He would never know it,
but it saved him from taking a flyer in sacred literature preferred. Desert Center, I pulled up for water. There was a woman.
Hey, you! Come on if you want to ride.
How far are you going?
How far are you going?
That took me by surprise, and I turned my head to look her over. She was facing straight ahead, so I couldn't see her eyes. But she was young, not more than 24. Man, she looked as if she'd just been thrown off the crummiest freight train in the world. Yet, in spite of this, I got the impression of beauty. Not the beauty of a movie actress, mind you, or the beauty you dream about when you're with your wife, but a natural beauty. A beauty that's almost homely because it's so real. Then suddenly she turned to face me.
How far did you say you were going?
Los Angeles?
L.A.? L.A.'s good enough for me, mister.
That's what I was afraid of.
What'd you say?
Oh, nothing, just thinking out loud.
People get in trouble for doing that.
What's your name?
You can call me Vera if you like.
You live in Los Angeles?
No.
Where are you coming from?
Oh, back there.
Needles?
No.
Oh, sure, Phoenix. You look just like a Phoenix girl.
Are the girls in Phoenix that bad?
The girl must have been pretty tired, because she fell asleep not 20 minutes after she stepped into the car. She lay sprawled out with her head resting against the far door, like Haskell. I didn't like that part of it much, but I didn't wake her up. It wasn't that this girl still worried me. I'd gotten over that funny feeling I had when she looked at me, which I put down as just my jangled nerves. With her eyes closed and the testness gone out of her, she seemed harmless enough. And instead of disliking her, I began to feel sorry for her. The poor kid probably had had a rough time of it. Who was she anyway? And why was she going to Los Angeles? And where'd she come from in the first place? The only thing I knew about her was her name. Not that it made any difference. A few hours more and we'd be in Hollywood. I'd forget where I parked the car and look up Sue. This nightmare of being a dead man would be over. Who this dame was, well, it was no business of mine.
Where did you leave his body? Where did you leave the owner of this car? You're not fooling anyone. This buggy belongs to a guy named Haskell. That's not you, mister.
You're out of your mind. That's my name, Charles Haskell. I can prove it. It's my driver's
Save
license.
yourself the trouble, mister. Having Haskell's wallet only makes it worse. It just so happens I rode with Charlie Haskell, all the way from Louisiana. He picked me up outside of Shreveport.
You rode?
You heard me.
Then it all came back to me. All the talk about dueling and scars and scratches. There was no doubt about it. Vera must be the woman Haskell had mentioned. She must have passed me while I slept.
Well, I'm waiting.
My goose was cooked. She had me. That Haskell guy wasn't dead yet. He wasn't stretched out stiff and cold in any Arizona gully. He was sitting right there in the car, laughing like mad while he haunted me.
Well?
There was nothing I could say. It was her move. Vera, whatever her name was just my luck picking her up on the road. It couldn't have been Helen, or Mary, or Evelyn, or Ruth. It had to be the very last person I should ever have met. That's life. Whichever way you turn, fate sticks out a foot to trip you. I told her everything, but but she didn't believe my story. I should have saved my breath.
That's the greatest cock and bull story I ever heard. So he fell out of his car. Say, who do you think you're talking to, a hick? Listen, mister, I've been around, and I know a wrong guy when I see one. What'd you do, kiss him with a wrench?
Now, wait a minute. What I told you was true. You see, that's why I had to do it. You think I killed him? Well, the cops would have thought so, too.
Yeah, well, maybe they still think so. What makes you so sure I'll shut up about this?
Vera, I'm innocent. Give me a break, will you?
It won't do me any good having you pinched. The cops are no friends of mine. Now, if there was a reward, but there isn't.
Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. I'm not through with you by a long shot. Let's see that roll. Is that all Haskell had?
Isn't it enough?
No, I thought he had more.
Not that I know of. You can search me. You think I'm holding out on you?
Well, maybe I will at that. He told me he was going to bet $3,000 on a horse named Paradisical on Wednesday at Santa Anita.
He was stringing you along. He meant 300.
Maybe.
Sure, $3, 300. He was a piece of cheese, a big blowhard.
Listen, mister, don't try and tell me anything about Charlie Haskell. Remember, I knew him better than you did.
Okay, then you knew he was a four-flusher. That explains the $3,000 bet.
I'm not so sure he didn't have that $3,000. Why should I believe you? You got all the earmarks of a cheap crook.
Now, wait a
Shut
minute.
up. You're a cheap crook and you killed him. For 2 cents, I'd change my mind and turn you in. I don't like you.
All right. Don't get sore.
I'm not getting sore. But just remember who's boss around here. If you shut up and don't give me any arguments, you'll have nothing to worry about. But if you act wise, well, mister, you'll pop into jail so fast it'll give you the bends.
I'm not arguing.
Well, see that you don't. You know, as crooked as you look, I'd hate to see a fella as young as you wind up sniffing that perfume that Arizona hands out free to murderers.
I'm not a murderer.
Of course you're not. Haskell knocked his own head off.
He fell, that's how it happened, just like I told you.
Sure, and then he made you a present of his belongings.
I explained why I had to do
skip
that.
it. Doesn't make a difference one way or another. I'm not a mourner. I liked Haskell even less than I like you.
Yeah, I saw what you did to him.
What do you mean?
Well, scratches on his wrist.
Sure, I scratched him.
I'll say you did.
So your idea was to drive the car a little way, maybe into San Bernardino, and then leave it. You weren't going to sell it?
Sell it? You think I'm crazy? Somebody else's car? See, all I want to do is leave it somewhere and forget I ever saw it.
Not only don't